Hey, you're tuning into Toasted Time, where I cook your time with some Reddit stories. Right now, we've got Malicious Compliance, where a lieutenant learns to not give a specific instruction to a drill sergeant. Our first story is by Brother Gato. When I was at the army, I was drill sergeant and trained some new recruits. I was fair and not like one of these tush bags. I did everything I ordered them to do with them together to show them how to lead. I liked it that way, and my squad also liked that I get dirty with them. So my standing in the company was quite good, and I was appreciated. After a couple of months, I had to switch company, and a pretty young and fresh second lieutenant was my new leader. He was kind of the same age as me, but was full of discipline and wanted to spread his knowledge. What you need to know. We all salute each other, but the other formalities were just as needed and required when there were some official things to do. But not for this guy. He ordered me to be
like a real soldier and saluting every time I enter the room where he is and speak with him. And that is how it should be, and be more respectful.
Cue Malicious Compliance. Every frigging time I entered the room where he was, I put on all the military manners I got. And I have a lot of them. Saluted him and spoke only highly official with him. Only short reports, yes sir, no sir, as you wish sir. And I continued this for days and weeks. Every other officer looked at him like,
dude, are you serious that you want it like that?
And he became more and more embarrassed. He even told me,
please don't say yes sir no more, because we both know that this means go fridge yourself.
And I just responded with, yes sir, anything else sir? And we both knew that I would continue this behavior. And at the end, when I left there, all but him thanked me for what I did, and we all had a big laugh about this. But I think he did not appreciate his order and will think twice in the future. For me, it was just him, and I like to show that I got respect and manners. It was a very funny time. And then we get a different story down below that from Gundoc 7519. Reminded me when I was an E7 Chief's gunner mate on a large ship. One of my fellow chiefs made warrant officer. A couple months later, I was walking to the ship along the pier when the aforementioned warrant officer was coming the other way. And I was like, how's it going? And he said,
did you forget something?
Me, pretty squared away. I say, no. And he said,
you forgot to salute.
Oh, okay. I gave him as snappy a salute as I could muster. And so I went to the chief's mess. We had 80 E7 and above. So I got the word out and every enlisted man on board to make sure they didn't pass up an opportunity to salute this guy. And if 10 of them were walking down the pier and saw him, they would spread out, so he had to return 10 salutes. He got plenty of saluting practice in the next couple of months. Oh, that is great. I love the camaraderie and such things. I'm just going to keep this short and simple. I have nothing to actually add to this, so we're just going to move on to the next story. How's that sound? And the next story comes from Atlas Shrugged. Okay, this is a sort of back in the day malicious compliance. I had swing, expediter, scheduler, shop assistant. I didn't run the machines, I just helped get done what needed to be done on our shift. And one day, I had an old school mechanist come in at the start of the shift and explain the blueprint was wrong, and if you followed the attachment manufacturing procedure, it was gonna result in a bad part. And he showed me the issue, and I agreed right away. Said I'd catch the engineer before the shift at the end of the day. And we call the engineer, and he says,
it's right, just do it.
I call him again next day. Same result. And so we move it up a level, and he storms into our office, angry. And I try to show him the drawing and procedure, but he insists that
it's correct.
He tells me I have no idea what we're doing in our shop, just follow the procedure as it is written. I had logged all of the calls and etc. and asked if he would put that in writing, and he does. Cue Malicious Compliance. I go to the same mechanist, tell him the issue. It is a 16-hour job. He sits and reads for 2 days and then hands paperwork no part into quality control. They check measurements and confirm it was manufactured correctly, and then they ask, what's going on? Where's the part? And I come by and explain that according to both the drawing and procedure, the mechanist was to machine a 12-inch part down to just over 13 inches shorter than it started at. Thus, the produced product, nothing. Usual ask about why did we do this, and I showed them the records I had. So they wrote it up as a procedure issue. And 2 days later, the same engineer storms in but brought his boss, the one I initially went in to when I got no response, and started accusing me of sabotaging his part. And I calmly showed both of them everything, explained that we knew it was an issue and tried to fix it, but we were overridden. Box looks at the engineer and says, why aren't you listening to people that are trying to help? And the engineer replies, they didn't go to college to become an engineer. They don't know what they're talking about, and walks out. I look at boss and he says, we will get you a revised procedure and drawing. I assume you still actually have the original stock to take from? I laugh and told him I wasn't dumb. Of course I do. And the engineer was no longer with the firm a couple weeks later. What kind of dumb mentality is that whole entire thing? Oh,
You didn't go to college to become an engineer.
Okay, just because I don't have the education doesn't mean I can't tell you that you're an idiot. You can have a PhD and still be a dummy. Yeah, that is a very true statement. Do I need a medical degree to tell you that when you have a fever you should just stay in bed, drink tea, and go to sleep? No, I don't need a medical degree. I have a brain. I don't need no stupid medical degree to tell you that information. Just go and do it and you'll probably be better by the end of the day. I hate this mentality of,
they didn't go to college.
Okay, thank you. You're still dumb, so what's your point? You went to college, and yet you somehow didn't realize that 12 minus 13 equals nothing. How did you not know that? You went to college, you should have known that. You're so wise and all that. It's so stupid. Anywho, continuing on to the comments. So, if I read that correctly, you were to remove 13 inches from a 12-inch part, and the engineer didn't realize what was wrong after being shown. What an elitist prick. The issue was that he just refused to look at the problem, assuming he had already done it right and I was just wasting his time. I'm a CNC operator, and boy, let me tell you, when you have an old head who has never went to school and has been machining for 40 years, that guy is 10 times more valuable than someone with a college degree. Protect him at all costs. I have a hard time not clobbering my engineer at work when he tells us,
That shouldn't be working.
gee, thanks, great Mr. Engineer, but it doesn't work when we do it the way you say it should work. So, and this all just goes back to the same old adage of you can have a PhD and still be an idiot. It is surprisingly still correct. Doesn't matter how much education they get, it is still not wise at all times. Anywho, continuing on to the next story. Now, before we continue on, I just want to ask that if you are enjoying this so far, that you consider recommending this channel to friends and family, or just people you know, because the help for this channel is greatly appreciated. So, to continue on... And now for the final story, which comes from Hanky Panky. I grew up in an okay town that has since become a little bit snobbier. I was driving down my old street last year and I saw my old neighbor, Andrea, sitting in her front porch, and so I stopped in to say hi. And turning into the driveway, I noticed a regulation-sized soccer goal in the next door neighbor's small front yard, which is very out of sync with the rest of the neighborhood. It made me laugh a little. After a quick catch-up, I learned a couple of things. She is the last of my old neighbors who still lives in the street, and the neighborhood has become very keeping up with the Jones, with the exception of her next-door neighbor. I asked about the soccer goal, and here is the story. The neighbor has a young daughter who loves soccer. She would spend hours in the front yard kicking goals into a small goal anchored to the front yard with 10 spikes. Apparently, another neighbor, they don't know who, but they suspect the people directly across the street, complained to the township because of the semi-permanent structure in the front yard. The neighbor got upset. Obviously, it was basically a toy in the front yard. And cops came to their house. They got a warning. Then they thought it would be okay as long as they took it down when they weren't home. But nope, cops were called again and they were fined while the daughter was using it. The fine said something about a semi-permanent structure because of the tent stakes. Cue malicious compliance. They weren't allowed to have a semi-permanent structure, but they could have a permanent structure. So they went, got a permit from the township, dug the holes, filled it with concrete, and built a regulation-sized goal and hung the permit on one of the poles. Now the mysterious neighbor has to look at that goal every day. Am I weird? 'Cause in my opinion, I wouldn't want to be in a completely sterile neighborhood with no, like, little knickknacks going on, like a soccer goal. Like, why are you such a stickler for sterility in your town? Like, live a little. Go outside, touch grass. Why are you complaining about a kid having fun? Like, sorry. Let me pinpoint myself here. Be specific. I mean, a kid having fun at nobody else's expense. Like, what is the expense? Your eyesight to look at something that a kid is having fun with? Like, grow up. You're complaining about a kid having fun. Man, you're old enough to own a house, and yet you're complaining about a kid kicking a soccer ball. Like, grow up. Holy cow. I don't want to live in a sterile neighborhood, and yet for some reason they do. Like, I don't get that mentality. Can anyone tell me about that mentality? Like, what are you guys thinking? Don't tell me in the comments, you know? But anyways, let us continue on to the comments. This is just lovely. They couldn't let a little girl have her small soccer goal, and this is their reward for their unneighborly behavior and attitude. I love it. Imagine calling the police on a little girl playing soccer. I bet the same boomer complains about kids being on their phones all day. Man, this video today is just filled with old adages, cause you know, it's the whole entire play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like, you got angry at a girl just playing soccer and you got a stupid prize of now you have to look at it every day. Like, I don't understand that mentality of like just being a nuisance for no reason. She's playing soccer. She's not doing anything bad. Like, live a little, holy cow. Anywho, let me know what you're thinking down below. Anyways. Now, before I end this off, I just want to make it known that I have a Patreon where I'll be posting 3 videos a day. And just to cover the bases, I'll have you know that the 2 videos a day is still going on. But if you want to support me and get a little more content, then you can go over there for the low price of $1. And, as always, the support is really appreciated and will in turn be used to make better and better content as the days go on. But, enough of that. That is about it for those stories today, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe to become a fellow breadbag. Though, aside from that, I post 2 new videos every day on YouTube, so I hope to see you next time toasting session. But until then, have a good one.